recorded. All right. So for Fine Gems, we're actually a family business. We're a gem group. So his father is the founder of the founders, and he started with the gem testing
Gem
lab.
lab.
Yeah. So here you can see we have a UV vase, we have FTIR and EDXRF. So these are all the advanced testing equipment that we have. We also do appraisals and evaluation for different insurance, different purposes. Okay, estate appraisals and all that. And of course, we have the Fire Gems Institute, where we train jewelers, we train gemologists. We have the Certified Diamond Grader program from HRD Antwerp. So we bring in the teacher and also their equipment and their samples, diamond samples, and we get people trained in diamond grading. So on top of that, we also, of course, we run the FGA class.
I think that's
the certificate
course.
course.
You do tuition courses.
Yeah, tuition and practical course.
Yeah.
Practical endorsement, which I myself, I will go through with the students all the different things and prepare them for examination.
So far, one of our students actually won the Anderson Medal, which is the top in the world.
Yeah. So one of the medals that FGA actually issued. Yeah. She was one of our students. And then Fire Gems and Jewelry.
My company.
Yeah, he can.
So we run a few businesses under this Fire Gems and Jewelry. The King's Bespoke is one of them, which we do customized jewelry and bespoke fine jewelry, gemstone engagement rings. We also run the Gem Museum shop, which is a very fun place to be if you like gems and rocks and minerals. Yeah, and last but not least, the next slide. We also run this company called the Gems Import, Far East Gems Import. We support a lot of jewelers in Singapore and also independent designers that they run the business on Instagram. Yeah, we supply to them too. And last but not least,
yeah, and we have the Gem Museum, which is here we are running this webinar for everyone.
Yeah.
So for the Gem Museum, we started in 2015, June 2015. So it's been about 5 years. Wow.
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years
very
already.
Fast.
Yes.
Time flies.
So there we are, Gem Lab Institute, jewelry import, and also the museum, bringing gemology alive to everyone.
Yes.
Okay, so without further ado, let me just pass this time to Andrew, and he will share with you about Opal.
Opals.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Kunming and Huiying. Just let me share my screen. Okay. Okay. Wait. Sorry. Okay, welcome again, everybody. It's good to see you all returning from the past webinars and entering this new webinar brought to you by the Gem Museum. We call it the Zooming into Gems. And this week, we're gonna have a very interesting topic, the colorful world of opal. And as always, Kunming, Huiying, and myself, Andrew, will bring you we'll discuss some of the facts, history about opals, right? And for those who doesn't know me, my name is Andrew Neil. I'm the curator of the Gem Museum. I graduated in GIA London as a graduate gemologist. And I remember my instructor in GIA, she asked my class, okay, who likes opal? And I remember I'm the one of the person that doesn't raise my hand, okay? So it doesn't make me dislike opal, okay? It's just I fancy other stones more than opal. As some of you may know, my favorite stone is emerald and I like green, okay? So opal is still an amazing stone. And before we head into the world of opal, okay, last week, just a recap, last week we talked about the phenomena of the feldspar group. Okay, we talk about how a common stone can be beautiful as well, and most of the feldspar are phenomenal gemstones. And this week, opal is also a phenomenal gemstone. Okay, although there are some that doesn't display phenomena, but what we all know about opal is because of its phenomena. Okay, so let's head into the world of opal. Okay, firstly, opal is, what is opal is that it is a hydrated variety of silica um, and oxygen. Okay, silica and oxygen is abundant in Earth. Okay, it's basically the entire Earth. There is silica on the ground, in the soil, in the sand, and and of course we live in an oxygenated world. Okay, anywhere you can find these two elements, and also behind this chemical composition, there will be um, a number of variety, a variable amount of water as well. That's why they call it a hydrated variety. So more on that in a couple of slides later. So how opals are formed? Okay, it involves the evaporation of silica-rich solution between layers and layers of sedimentary rocks. Okay, so this process, it doesn't take 10 decades or centuries, but it takes millions of years to form opal in those cracks, those crevices and empty space of rocks, as you can see here. This space is not huge, okay? It's roughly the size of a hand, okay? But it would take millions of years. The process, it will go on back and forth countless times to actually fill up the gap with this opal. So how it ends up with this silica-rich solution is when rains, certain part of the place will experience flood and rains. Okay, so when the water goes through the soil, it will actually bring down these natural compounds such as silica in this case, and then it will store in those empty spaces underneath the earth. So when it evaporates, it will leave behind this silica or whatever natural compound it carries, and it hardens, and yeah, the process will go on and on until it fills the entire gap. Some might crystallize, some will opalize like this, and it not necessarily it will occur in non-organic matter. Opalization can happen in organic matter such as wood, bones, fossils, shells, um, anything that is exposed to opalization. And in fact, in our museum, we actually have huge piece of opalized shell. It weighs over 500 carats, around like this big, you see. So it does have the shape of a shell. So, and I still remember there's a tourist that came, he is an opal collector, okay? He was so fascinated by this opalite shell that we have. And if I'm not mistaken, that he wanted to buy this stone, right, Kunming? So unfortunately, it's one of our museum specimens that, and in the end, he just showed us his collection of opal in his blog. In fact, he collects opalized fossils, opalized bones, many things, anything you can imagine, you see. So, and opals, they have to form really well in order to display its play of color. And that's what opal is known for, okay? So next is the crystal structure of the opal. Unlike many majority of the gemstone that belongs to a certain crystal system, opal is amorphous, meaning it doesn't have any, it doesn't belong to any crystal system, nor it has a crystalline structure. Okay, and in fact, it made up of billions of submicroscopic silica spheres like you see in this picture, and it can be vary in size and arrangement as well. So like, let's see it, look at this photo right here. On the left photo, these are the actual silica spheres of an opal, okay? It is very, very tiny. It's much smaller than nanometers, okay? And the picture on the left, you can see the opals, the silica spheres that is randomly oriented. It's disorganized, and you can also see the spheres that vary in shapes and sizes. Like this one right here is ovalish. This one has some almost like a free form. Also, there's some that is completely spherical, okay? And the picture on the right, you can see is just so organized, and the size of it is just equal in size too. So it's almost as if like beads of bracelets inside the opal, you see. Um, row, rows and columns, layers of silica spheres that made up the opal. So like I mentioned before, well-formed opal, they will display play of color. The one on the right is really well-formed. Um, they have this very good arrangements of spheres. They, so this one most likely will produce this phenomena of play of color, whereas the one on the left, it may or may not produce. So it's really hard to judge by this picture. Maybe some other part of this stone will show play of color. It's just this part would not. Yeah. So opal is actually a very interesting stone. Okay. Although it has a low hardness of 5.5 to 6 on the most hardness scale, most of the opals they use in rings, they most likely would have this bezel setting, okay, to protect the entire size of the opal to limit the surface of impact. Okay, it's only just leaving the top part where you can admire its play of color. Is of course it's much better than the prong settings where you can actually expose the opal to more impacts, and even the prong itself might damage the stone. So the interesting fact about some opal, it may contain as much as 20% of water content. So the water content that is behind the chemical composition is can be 20%, that much. So the typical range for the water content was is around 3 to 10%, okay, depending on its geographical conditions and the type of opal as well. And some opals, they are able to absorb water. Um, they can also, as a result of being more water water content, those opal can be known as hydrophane opals, okay? And Ethiopian opals are very well known for its hydrophane opals, where these kind of opals, they are really, really porous, okay? And their high porosity and actually enables them to absorb water if you place it, imagine if you place it in a glass of water, okay? Few hours pass, you can actually see the stone become much more transparent, okay? And apart from being more transparent, it can make its play of color less visible, okay? And if you take it off after a few hours or days, it will go back to its original state. So no harm being done to the opal, and it's completely normal for opals to be porous. And that is also why that if you own an opal, you really should take care of your opal. Do not expose it to high heat or under the sunlight too long, or else it will get dried up and crack, okay? We call it crazing. So yeah, and next, like all gemstones, they have their own history, right? And somehow I used to hate history in high school, but when it comes to gemstones and minerals, it's just so interesting, you know. You just do not know what you can find through the history of gemstones, right? So opal, the first source for opal was in fact in Slovakia, the dating around 400 BC. That was really, really long time. And Slovakia was actually an ancient European opal source for, in fact, the Greeks and the Romans wore Slovakian opals. And here is an example of, before this picture, okay, let me clarify. Long time ago, back then, that period of time, this Slovakian opal mine was actually part of Hungary, okay? And during that time when the Hungarian opals were circulating, people had this, they just got used to the term Hungarian opal. And right now, the modern day Slovakia reclaimed this opal mine, and people would still call it Hungarian opal. Okay, it's just part of the trade names that it's really hard to change. You see, for example, like Burmese ruby. Right now, Burma is Myanmar. You're not gonna call it Myanmar ruby. We still call it Burmese ruby. It's the same thing. So this picture right here is an example of ancient, early Hungarian royalty wearing this opal crest. Okay, you can see a few crests, the center stone, and 3 little opals right here. And maybe there's a ruby or garnet. I'm not quite sure. So very vintage look. That's how they wore. That's how they designed their jewelries. And on the other side of the world, the Mexico was the source for the new world. Okay, and at that time, Mexico was part of the Aztec Empire. Okay, and the Aztec people would actually use opal for worship or burial ceremonies, and until the Spanish conquistador arrived and conquered the Aztec, um, Mexican opal was introduced to the European as part of the Spanish bringing back goods from the New World, for example, opal, emerald, and gold back to Europe. And it creates like some kind of friendly competition between Hungarian opals, or Hungarian/Slovakian opal and Mexican opal. Yeah. And as for now, as we all know, um, later during the 1800s, Australia suddenly came up and became the top opal producing country. Okay, right in the late 1800s. Okay, so before it became a top producing country, in the 1840s, the first opal mine in Australia emerged. Okay, and during that 60 years, from the 40s to the late 1800s, many other mines came up as well. Okay, and there's one person, a German mineralogist or gemologist, actually brought these first Australian opals back to Germany to cut. And the word spread like wildfire, okay, because they had never seen Australian opal with basically opal that have such a good quality of play of color. So everyone was just amazed, and word spread about Australian opal. And that is when Australia became the top producing opal country, right? And then a few years later, in 1902, the findings of black opal in the famous Lightning Ridge made headlines across the world again. Okay, so black opals, like any other new minerals, nobody has seen black opal before. Okay, black opal, they have this dark background color on the opal, and it creates this very contrasting appearance for the play of color. So if you compare a white and a black, you really can see the difference on how the opal display its play of color. So even until today, Australia is a major source for the white and black opal. And here is an example of the Australian opal. Really, really stunning. You can see the amount of play of color with contrasting with the black background. I suppose it is a grayish blue background. Okay, you can see patches of red on the tip, which is highly desirable for the red play of color, and green specks over here and here. Okay. So apart from Australia, there are emerging opal sources as well. For example, Ethiopia. The first opal mine was discovered in 1994. Okay, nothing much happened back then. It was a small deposit of opal. However, more deposit was discovered in the 2008 and 2013. So that is not small. That is, they come in large quantities of opal, and that makes really a competition for the Australian opal in terms of quantity. In terms of quality, it's really hard to say. Some prefers Ethiopia, some prefers Australian. It's really up to personal preference. And Ethiopia, they can be known as willow opal, right? Willow is named after the place where they mine the opal. They call it willow. So either willow or Ethiopian opal is up to you. And now it is Ethiopia. You can find many opals coming from out of Ethiopia, and somehow it produces larger opals compared to Australia. But it's still not, to me, okay, to me, Ethiopian opals is not really good. Can't really compare to the Australian in terms of the play of color and quality. Um, Here is an example for the Ethiopian opal. Um, Not much play of color going on, just a few specks of play of color. Although Ethiopian opals, they can display more red compared to the Australian ones, but this Ethiopian opal, they usually show a lot of dead spots as in um, spots that doesn't display play of color. Like here, all the black background you can see. So let me go back to the Australian ones. So this is an Australian one. You can really see a large amount of play of color. Okay, whereas the Ethiopian ones are just yeah, just blackish. Okay, maybe it's really harsh to judge a stone by a picture. Is you really have to rock and tilt, look all around the opal to see how well its play of color is presented by the opal. So it's just based on this photo, it doesn't look that good compared to the Australian ones. Yeah. So other localities of the opal sources, you can see Brazil and Mexico are significant sources for white and fire opals respectively. So, and along with other minor opal producers such as Honduras, western part of the US, and even Russia. Okay, and a little bit about this opal right here. The contraluz opal is a very unique type of opal, which is not in the slice, unfortunately. So what about the contraluz is in face up, it's a very transparent stone to begin with, very transparent stone to semi-transparent. In the face up, you barely see any play of color. It's just like a normal transparent opal, okay? So when you put the light behind the stone, that is when the play of color comes out, okay? It makes it a completely different viewing perspective for opal, and it can be really rare as well, contraluz, and special, well, to me. I've never seen one so far, and it is really, really stunning. Yeah. I hope Kunming have a contraluz later. I really want to see it. So let me explain a little about its phenomena, the play of color, right? This play of color occurs when light interacts with the opal's orderly arrangements of silica spheres. Okay, as I mentioned, not well-formed opals, they really hard to bring out the play of color, whereas the well-formed ones would bring out the play of color. So how it happens is when the light travels through all of these spheres, okay, it will diffract and broken up into its spectral colors. Okay, spectral colors, the color of the rainbow, be it red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, violet. Yeah, literally any stone. Sorry, any colors that can displayed by the play of color. So blue is the more common ones. It's actually resulted by the spheres, smaller spheres compared to the red ones, which is resulted by larger silica spheres. Okay, blue is, as I mentioned, blue is a more common color that you can find in an opal, along with green and yellow. Red is highly desirable and really rare I mean, not really rare. I mean, rarer than other colors. Okay, so and the fact is, um, Mother Nature just made opal so randomly. You cannot really predict how the play of color pattern will be, or there. In fact, there is no fixed standard to how the play of color will be produced, and thus there are endless possibilities of play of color patterns in opals. And among all the patterns, there are three main terms that are used to describe the patterns. Firstly, the flash, pinfire, and harlequin. So the one on the right, we go first, is the flash. Okay, you can see it's just one broad play of color on the surface of the stone. It can be a singular color, or it can be multicolored too. It's just one big broad flash of the play of color. That's it. Okay. Whereas the pinfire, you can see small patches or dots all around the stone. It can be a small patch, half of the stone, or it can be occupying the entire stone. It just have to be very tiny dots, speckles of play of color. So back to the flash. Flash is one of the most common patterns that you can find in an opal, a precious opal, right? Whereas the pinfire is considered to be the less valuable of the patterns. Okay. So lastly is the harlequin. Okay. Harlequin, it has a fancy name for a reason. It is the most rarest and the most valuable of the patterns. As you can see, a very stunning display of play of color, very dazzling with this mosaic-like um, structure on the surface. You can see some rectangular, squarish type kind of play of color. Really, really nice, and a good mixture of different colors too. You can see red, blue, and green as well. So that's, I also like to emphasize that um, although there are terms for these patterns, it is still really subjective to use the term on a specific type of opal. Okay, it can be anything because different people, they have different point of view, different judgments too. So so it's really, I mean, use it with caution. Okay, and so opal, they have many types. Okay, they have precious opal like we all familiar with because of its play of color, and also they have common opals that does not display play of color. Okay, common opals, they have the same chemical composition as well. It makes it no different apart from as a non-phenomenal opal. Okay, and common opal, they can come in many different kinds of color. Okay, the pink opal is very desirable too. Very pastel pink. Other colors like green, yellow, and even blue. Really, really nice blue shades of blue. The sea blue, which Kunming showed me just now. Really nice, really calming kind of color. And apart from that, opal are prone to have inclusions as well. Okay, inclusions that grant common opals this unique feature. Okay, opals such as dendritic opal or moss opal, where you can see the picture on the right. You can see inclusions trying to get out of the opal, like inclusions like branches, like plants, you know. But it is in fact is iron oxide, iron or manganese oxide that is in the dendritic opal. Okay, so it makes it unique to a common opal as well. So next is the white opal. Everywhere we go, we would see white opal because it makes up most of the precious opal in the market. And usually white opal, they have white to slightly gray background color. Um, Background color is really important for opal as important as any color in any other gemstones, like red for ruby, blue for sapphires. White, white to slightly gray makes an opal, white opal. Okay, it is very common in the market. Um, Whereas compared to the black opal, they have this black to dark gray background color. Okay, is among the most valuable and the rarest of the opal. So when comparing it with the white opal, you can really see the difference on how these two stones, these two black and white opals display its play of color. You can see the black opal, you can see a very good contrast of the play of color, the red, very large um, flashes of red over here, very beautiful, and green as well, and against the dark color background. I'm not sure whether it's because of this platform, the gray, it seems like the same color. So on the other hand, the white opal is you can hardly see the play of color unless it has red in it. So it does create a difference in terms of black and white opal with when it tries to display the play of color. So next is the boulder opal. Okay, not many people knows about boulder opal or don't even know whether it is opal. In fact, boulder opal is opal with matrix. Okay, matrix that is part of the growth process of the opal. Okay, and when miners found opal, okay, they would determine whether it would become an individual piece of opal or maybe they could cut it along with the matrix. So in this case, usually boulder opal, they would see tiny crevices of opal like this. Okay, it just makes no sense to cut this piece of opal out and make it into a piece of jewelry, right? So instead, they'll cut out the entire piece of rock containing opal, and it will serve as a natural backing for the thin layers of fragile opals. Okay, so it makes this entire stone as natural as it can be. Okay, usually the matrix can either be sandstone or ironstone as a matrix, the more common stones that is found in boulder opal. So you can see many cracks in the matrix showing off um, hints of play of color opals. Is really unique. It's just those shy play of color trying to show itself through the matrix. It can be a really nice piece of pendant, to be honest. Um, so next would be the crystal and water opal. Okay, um, the previous opal they ranged from translucent to opaque, whereas these two stones they are transparent to semi-transparent background. Okay, so it makes it a very clear, very see-through kind of stone. So what makes these two different is the intensity of its play of color. So crystal opal, it will show an exceptional play of color. Okay, it will show very vivid coloration all over the stone, um, despite its transparency. While the water, also known as jelly opal, they will show faint play of color. Some not just faint, some would just show a few patches of play of color among the whole stone. So faint plus less play of color really can differentiate it from the crystal opal. And next up is the fire opal. Okay, fire opal is very distinguishable. Its color ranges from yellow, orange to red. Okay, and it's usually transparent to translucent. So the color itself, it is maybe is the reason why we call it fire opal. It looks like a fire glowing from within the stone. Okay, fire opal they may or may not have play of color, and sometimes even though when they have play of color, it's really hard to locate where the play of color is due to its body color, right? And fire opals, they are widely faceted to make into, for example, earrings, even rings as well. So, and some of you might even know fire opal as Mexican opal. That is because fire opal, our majority comes from Mexico. Okay, they would just name the stone out of their country. If Singapore has opal as well, we'll call it Singaporean opal, right? Okay, so that is fire opal for you. And lastly is the assembled opal. Okay, assembled opal can be a doublet or a triplet, and it's typically composed of a thin layer of opal cemented to a backing of various materials like this picture right here. The top one is a whole piece of solid opal, okay, whereas the assembled opal, the middle one and the bottom one, it resembles the doublet and the triplet. So the thin layer of opal right here will be cemented to this base, okay, and again, common sense tell a thin layer of opal like this alone would not withstand the uh, would not withstand alone if it were to be a jewelry, right? It would be easily snapped in half right in the middle. So what people would do, they will assemble this base made up of either obsidian, black onyx, or black glass, or even plastic for that matter, to just to give it a support for the fragile opal, almost like the Boulder opal. It's just it looks differently. Whereas a triplet, it would include a clear, colorless dome top of quartz or glass. Okay, so assembled opal doesn't make it man-made or synthetic. Opal, the opal inside the assembled stone is still natural. It's just it needed support. It's for due to its vulnerability for breakage. So yeah, and that is all for the types of opal. And collectability of opal is actually really subjective, like I mentioned. Any stone is subjective. Okay, people view beauty differently, they judge differently, and play of color, it makes it even harder, right? Due to its play of color. Um, we have to consider the type of opal, be it black, white, boulder, fire, you name it. And we have to judge the quality of play of color, the symmetry of cut, and sometimes the clarity as well. So you can see inclusions or even cracks on the surface. So everyone would, for if someone thinks this stone is very beautiful, they can really go ahead and collect it for their own use or maybe for their own collection. Yeah. So just like any other stones, you have to assess this 360 view of the gem to determine the quality of the stone. Okay, it's not just from a picture or from a face up view. Okay, you have to look top, bottom, left, right. Okay, anywhere around the stone. Okay, and next up is the increasing rarity. I remember while I was doing this slides, okay, I remember there's an Australian tourist that came by to the Gem Museum, I think last year, late last year. We, as usual, I would attend him and we talked about Australian opals because yeah, he's an Australian, right? So he actually told me that Australian black opals are getting really, really expensive. Okay, so like any other people would ask, I asked him how much it costs. Okay, he said around 5 figures per carat. So that is kind of ridiculous amount of price, you see. So usually opals, it weighs more than a carat because of its, it has to display white, this broad play of color, right? You can't be just 0.5 carat opal. You see, that's just nonsense. So yes, he from the word of his mouth, he said Australian black opals are getting scarce, thus increase the price. Also, combined with high demand of black opals, yeah, it is kind of inevitable that the prices for black opal will increase. So that is actually it. Oh, let's go to conclusion. The conclusion is just a recap of the types of opal. You can have common black, white, boulder, fire, crystal, water assembled, and even the type of pattern, the flash, pinfire, harlequin. Again, I have to emphasize it's really subjective when you're judging a play of color. Everyone have their own opinion. It's no wrong. Everyone has their right to give their own opinion. So like for me, I don't like opal. I like emerald. So it's really up to you. You know, opal is still an amazing stone. So I hope you learned something today. I'll pass it back to Kunming and Huiying for the demonstration. Can't wait.
Cannot wait.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Andrew, for that
Yes.
wonderful presentation.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you have any questions, please do put it in the Q&A. And Huiying, you would like to bring us through some announcements?
Yeah, I'll bring you guys through some announcement while you put in your Q&A. All right, so again, this is for the benefit of those who join us like for the first time or second time, okay? So what's coming up next in our webinar, or for us as the Gem Museum or as Five Gems Group? Of course, we are midway through our moving out sale. Okay, a lot of things has been sold. People have been buying, and yeah, so if you have not seen our live Facebook sale, that one not webinar, okay? That one is a sale. So we're showing you nice things, really very interesting and nice. We're using our Zoom box also. And of course, if you're not in our Facebook group page just for the moving out sale, please feel free to take a screenshot of this image, or just scan this with your phone, scan the QR code with your phone and join our Facebook group page, okay? Right. And what's coming up next is a webinar by Kunming's father, Mr. Tay San, on the 24th of July, which is next Friday at 7:30 p.m. Singapore time, okay? And the title will be on opals from Indonesia. Interestingly, it's just after this. So, Andrew, don't worry. Mr. Tay talked a bit different thing and very specific on opals from Indonesia, because he's been to Indonesia and he collect all the samples. So he published a paper on opals from Indonesia. So it's going to be interesting. And of course, if you want to get Mr. Tay's previous webinar, you can go to this link, farisgem.institute/learn. It is for sale, the PDF and also the video itself. And of course, next week, Saturday, the last webinar for this month, we're talking about peridot in preparation for August, okay, the birthstone of August, peridot. So next Saturday, we are going to talk about peridot, and the link is already up on our Eventbrite page, thegemmuseum.eventbrite.com. All right, so if you're interested, do feel free to just visit these pages to sign up for the webinars, okay? For Mr. Tay's webinars next week, right, the live one is actually free, so just register and join in, okay? And okay, next week we have a Jade course. So if you're interested, if you're Singaporean, you want to join us, you can join us for this course. If you are not a Singaporean, you also can join us for this course, but then you don't have the government subsidy lah. You got to pay us $230 Sing. Okay? You can find us here on these different platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. So before we answer your questions, okay, Gaurav has a question, Alithia has a question. Keep all your questions coming in. Okay, Andrew will be answering your questions as well by, written answers. And Kunming right now is going to show you some opals. But before that, I'd like to also show you the... where is it? Oh dear. I want to show you the opal that this Andrew talked about. This is the opal in our museum. This is the one from Australia. And it's actually on my personal Instagram page, not on the museum Instagram page. And so this is the one that is about a fist size, or rather a palm size, about 500 carats. Okay, so when we got it, right, it was actually more rough. So we went to do some touch up and polish it a little bit. Yeah, so this is a rather interesting piece. And like he mentioned, there was this, I don't know if it's the same tourist or same Australian opal collector, but he also said this is such an exceptional piece. But it's true, I never seen anything like that after this, you know. Yeah, Andrew, you want to say something?
No.
No.
This is the
Okay,
first time
okay.
I see something that big. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so Kunming is going to show you from the Zoom box right now. Okay, what do you have first?
I want to show you all the different kinds of opals. Put it in here.
You gotta
Yeah, hang on now. Let me just set up my iPad.
click. Yeah, it's on.
Okay. So here,
Photo.
sorry.
Okay.
So here, we have quite a number of stones.
This is our institute sample, student sample.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from the crystal to the Mexican opal,
Yeah.
and then
The white opal
White
at the
opal.
bottom right.
other dark
Dark
opals.
opals. Yeah.
So you can see the red here. Mostly are flash. We don't have any harlequin in this box.
Yeah.
This is just to see the different colors of play of colors of opal.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Okay, then next we have the bolder opal.
So border opal in the rough form, you can see it looks like this. You can see the seams.
Yeah, that's right.
See the seams here. So if you're really creative, this is one place that you can do some art. You can buy border opals and do your own faceting. Although it's very, very, okay, I wouldn't say it's very risky. It takes a lot of skill because opals are pretty soft. So you have to go really slow on the grid, on the spinning on the wheel. Because if you go fast, if you are fast and furious, poof, the whole opal will be in sand. So yeah, you have to exercise caution and skill with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it can
And
break up quite easily also.
You can also do special carvings with this.
Yeah.
Look at the opals here in the seams.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you can do special carvings.
Yeah.
In this part, you don't see anything.
Yeah. But well, sometimes the matrix can be quite the material can be quite tough. It depends. Sometimes it's quite crumbly, you know, so it can break up rather easily. So those that are hardier, you can actually polish it, right? You can make it into like the picture that Andrew showed just now, like a flat piece, and you can even drill hole through it.
So now I show you another
Yeah.
one that is made into a pendant.
Yeah.
It's one of our stocks in the products in the Gem Museum shop.
Yeah.
I have to zoom. So this one, they drill a hole through it,
Uh-huh.
through the sandstone, and you can see some flashes of play of color. Look at that.
Yeah.
See the flash of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
And then a bit of white sandstone.
Yeah.
The back is,
Yeah, it's a sandstone matrix. That's right.
yeah. So people make this as a simple pendant. You can see blue around it. Yeah, very unique. And the different sandstone patterns, it gives a different look. Let me show you something else. I want to show you the fossils.
Huh, the fossils are.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Let me just. You want to show them the fossil? There's
Oh
one
yeah,
over
yeah.
there.
Sorry. So one of the stones that this is an opalized shell. So there's a lot of fossils out there that has been opalized. That this is a shell. You can see it's reddish.
Yeah.
Wow, nice color.
I'll pull out the other ones.
And then
So fossils also there's that like names to it. Okay, belemnites.
yeah,
Belemnites.
like
They're
fossilized.
fossilized squid cavity. Fossilized squid.
So
cavity.
if let's say an opal miner finds this, if there's any opal miners here, you all can maybe advise, because if I see this as a, as a person, I won't want to cut it. I feel like it's such a waste if you cut it and
No, of course
make
not.
it into a piece of
This is
cabochon.
clearly a shell. You turn the other side. You see the
see
shell
the lips.
bivalves. You know the
Yeah.
bivalves. You turn to this side. This side. Show this side. You can see the no the side here.
Yeah.
You
Oh
see?
yeah.
Yeah, you can see the joints of the bivalve here. So it's really amazing, you know, this kind of specimen is really quite amazing, like quite fun. So I know that in Australia, right, some people they go to those like thrift store, you know, in America it's thrift store, but in Australia I'm not sure what is it called. And then they have like these bags of all this kind of stuff. So they will buy bags of them, and then sometimes in that bag they might find one or two
Yeah.
of a specimen like that. So it's really like
In
it's really
Singapore,
fun, you know.
we call it tikam tikam.
Yeah, so this is quite an amazing piece.
Let me show you.
Yeah, so this is the
belemnite.
belemnite.
It's like
It's a
a
fossilized
fossilized
squid.
Prehistoric squid.
Yeah.
Looks like a bullet. See the bullet flying through the screen.
Now it's a squid cavity.
Squid cap. Okay, hang on. Let me. So look at that.
And it's pretty translucent.
It's like crystal opal already.
Yeah. But I think this kind of specimen is not so uncommon. It's actually pretty common in Australia. So collectors, they will collect these things, and sometimes if they're lucky, they collect the whole set of squid, like the whole almost like the whole body, or they can find like bones, fossilized bones that is opalized, that is already replaced by opals. So in Australia, you can find a lot of this kind of
Maybe
materials.
bury me in Australia.
And then you become
Yeah,
opal.
become a piece of opal.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. Let me show you another belemnite. Wow,
Yeah, this is
one,
pretty
it's nice
because
blue,
of the blue,
blue
the
color.
big flash of blue. Yeah,
It's hollow.
yeah. These are belemnites.
Yeah.
Okay, these are opalized.
See the flesh. So again, I don't think I would want to cut this.
No,
Yeah.
belemnite. Okay, let me spell it out on the chat group. Belemnite. There you go.
Alright, let's
Okay, you can
see.
see that spelling in the chat group. Okay, Gurav asked. Yeah. Okay, so the next one is
Let's show them some fire opal.
fire opal first. Is it this one?
Oh, yeah, this is nice.
Yeah, it's
This-
nice. This is this
It's
one.
Ethiopian.
No. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Show you some.
Okay, we can show you some Ethiopian opals. Actually, we do really have quite a number of samples to show. So we
Wow,
just
this
try
is-
and
this is
show
beautiful.
you some. So this one is actually a rough Ethiopian opal. There you go.
It looks like an egg, like
Yeah.
egg yolk.
It's very interesting because in the middle of it is just totally transparent. And you can't say that it's quartz, okay? Although quartz and opal, they have the same chemical composition, right? Silicon dioxide. But it looks almost like a quartz, but it is not quartz. It is still opal. It just doesn't show play of color. But surrounding it, you can see like a layer of orange. It's almost like the
The
Mexican
layer of
opal.
orange here.
Yeah, and then the layer outside which has the play of color. This is rather unique piece, you
So
know.
you see the skin. Doesn't look. It looks like cabbage to me. This
Cauliflower.
cauliflower. Then
Yeah,
you turn inside. Wow, what a cauliflower!
yeah. So anyway, the cabochon cut ones, Ethiopian.
Okay,
Ethiopian. You
This
put
the-
side by side, people can see.
it's the cabochon cut,
So nice. Oh, so
and
beautiful.
then
Yeah. I think some of you might wish you can hold it in your hands to have a look at it.
see that the
Yeah,
Ethiopian.
these are the Ethiopian ones. So Ethiopian opals, they tend to look or resemble some of those synthetic opals, the Gilson synthetic opals. It looks like they have this columnar structure in there, but actually it is not. Okay, so if we observe carefully the Ethiopian opals, right, on the first look it may look like a look like a synthetic opal, but then if you look carefully, the columns are not regular. They are not regular. Okay, so this one that Kunming is showing is the
It's a
blue.
Peruvian
Yeah, Peruvian
blue
blue
opal.
opal. Blue opal.
So there's pink and there's blue.
Yeah.
Nice, right? I thought it was aquamarine, when I saw it.
No, it's opal. It's opal. So actually, we have some moss opal from Australia, but then we forgot to bring it.
In Brazil, there's also beautiful opals.
Yeah. Andressa said, nice white precious opals in the north of Brazil and 5 opals in the south. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so maybe we can answer a few questions here at the same time.
Yeah.
Alithia asks, as opals are typically sold as cabochons, is there a specific or ideal cabochon proportion in general? Just told it shouldn't be too flat, not too thick either. Yeah, we encourage you all to put it in the Q&A so that easier for us to look through all the questions. But anyway, if you have put it into our chat, it's okay. For any cabochon stone, okay, the dome shouldn't be too high anyway. Alright, whether it's got phenomenal, no phenomenal, got cat's eye, or star effect, asterism, it doesn't matter. It should not, the dome shouldn't be too high, too sharp. It shouldn't be too flat as well. Okay, for opals, right, sometimes what happens is that because of the way it is, you saw just now on the boulder opal, right, it's pretty flat. So sometimes it's flat, but it's not flat enough to just leave it as a boulder opal. Okay, so we try to cut it out and it end up to be quite flat, which is actually in a way is okay, because eventually you're going to set it with some kind of a bezel setting or something like that. But of course, with a little bit of dome, it feels like there's some meat in there, then it looks nice.
So this one I'm showing you is lightning rich opal. As you know, opals form in seams. So sometimes you can see it's totally opal. So the cutter has no choice to make it a big so-called well dome shape, because there's not enough material here to cut. So it really depends on your preference. If you see the color is so beautiful, the shape is something that you like, then of course go ahead. Because when you want to judge it by so-called or proportion, by mathematical, it's pretty difficult. Due to the way you appreciate it. And
also the way it's being formed, naturally it's just like that. So sometimes we want to make the best out of it, and then therefore it becomes something like this, flat, but yet you see the color is so beautiful. If you leave it as a boulder opal, it's such a pity.
And you see the way that he fashioned it. It's not evenly fashioned, but it follows the seam.
You can see actually the base. This is not a doublet, okay? This is not doublet.
It's not a doublet.
You can tell. Okay, for doublets, it's very straight. For doublets or triplets, the joints are a very flat one, very straight line. So this one is not. You show them the side. Show them the side, the girdle side. Yeah. If you look at it, right, it's actually a little bit wavy. It's not. It's not totally flat, and there is no joint planes. You can't see joint planes. So this one is how we differentiate between the natural ones and also the doublets, or even the triplets. Okay, with this, right, there's a question from Jessica. Are you able to tell natural and synthetic opal by the naked eye, or some tips on how to identify the difference? Actually, I can show you a synthetic opal here. Let me just show you. Okay, it's very, it's not so obvious, but there is a way that you can see. Not foolproof, of course, these things are not always foolproof. If you look at the girdle side, okay, you show them the front and the girdle side.
Keep the thing first.
I have to tell him to do it because the box is on that side.
Oh, this synthetic opal.
Yeah, synthetic. So it looks like natural.
Synthetic opal.
This is synthetic opal. It looks very like natural, but if you look at the girdle, you look at the column. We call it the columnar structure. Okay, it's a Gaussian synthetic. It's columnar structure. It's very regular. You turn around, turn the full round, you can see it's very regular. You can see. But for natural one, it's not like that. Natural one, as Andrew has mentioned earlier on, right, is very irregular. It's amorphous. So the chains of spheres, okay, they are all pretty random. It doesn't go so nicely. Slow down a bit. Yeah, yeah. You can see the structure, the columnar structure over here. It's straight. Okay, you turn slowly, rotate. Yeah, you look at that. It's all straight. Some more. Okay, turn one round. Yeah. Yeah. So this is one way to see. Another one is like what Gurav mentioned also, snake skin or lizard skin pattern. All right, depending on the manufacturer, sometimes the lizard skin pattern is very obvious. It's almost like the harlequin, but it's not harlequin. Oops. Yeah, it's almost like harlequin, but it is not harlequin. Okay, so yeah, let me show you this one. This is the one with that lizard skin. This is really obvious.
Oh, this is obvious.
Yeah, this is very obvious.
This one is like,
I have some that's less obvious, but
check it out.
yeah.
Lizard skin.
Yeah, lizard skin. It's like a scaly, layer, scaly kind of
Not
appearance.
so common, actually. This kind of opal. The most common is those doublet and triplets. You'll find it in like tourist shops. If you go to Australia, and then you can buy this tourist stuff, keychain and all this.
Yeah, tourist shop. Our shop don't have.
Yeah, our shop don't have.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Alithia also so the rough is typically small. Not really. Just now, where's our rough? That rough. Oh, rough. The Ethiopian one was small. 没有 这样 like this, then you can see.
No, I need to make it zoom out.
Yeah, never mind, you can compare with our face.
See, this is actually quite big. This
Yeah,
boulder,
this is pretty big
boulder
size.
opal.
There are big ones. They're really big ones. Actually, we just thought of a big one that we wanted to show. So, Kunming, can we show that one?
In my drive,
Yeah. Where is it in your drive?
you make it. It's just here. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, we want to show you this really big opal that we saw, and of course we didn't buy it lah. We just took photo. Take photo free one.
Okay, this one.
Take video also free. Okay, let me share screen. I will stop share and then I will share. I think Andrew haven't seen this before.
This is a Mexican opal.
Yeah, it's a cool one. This is the one. You can see.
I think about
Okay, there you go.
88 carats, I think.
Wow. Okay, can you all see the screen? I'm not sure if I... Can you all see this? If I zoom in,
Can you see, Andrew? Is it?
Is
Can
it
you
a
see?
big screen? Because I enlarged it.
Yes.
Okay. So this is how big it is, okay? It's like really this size. You can see Kunming's hand. Yeah.
This is my hand.
This is a Mexican opal. It's beautiful. It's really stunning.
Yeah.
Amazing. How big was this? 200 carats, is it?
80.
80
82.
carats. 82 carats.
Yeah.
This is pretty amazing piece. Yeah. Okay. And where am I going?
And show that very beautiful one.
Which one?
No, go. Yeah.
Which one is the
Want to
big-
show
Oh,
them?
that one. Okay. Oh, actually we have this one. Maybe we show this, then we show that last one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Let me see the
Oh,
questions.
we have also pink opals too.
Yeah.
Look at this pink opals. We have pink opals.
Do you have any
Kristen.
suggestions for appraisers when valuing an opal with no paperwork, lab work stating source? I had one this week and was under 1 carat. Crystal opal, beautiful, play of color, blues and greens and no red.
Do you have suggestions for appraisers when valuing an opal with no paperwork stating source? It is a little bit tricky.
I think you have to first ascertain the the condition of the opal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes opals craze,
Yeah.
like Ethiopian and even Mexican, and sometimes when it's too dry, it craze. So
Yeah.
the moment it craze, I guess the value drops a lot.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about appraising. you know, and then
Good condition, no crazing.
and then
Okay, actually, typically the ones with the red flashes are of higher value, and the ones with the they are black, they are higher value as well. So if it's black and with red flashes, it's really really high value. We have an article actually. It's not by us. It's by I think another. It's published out an article on Australia Opal talk about the different quality. Okay, so I suppose from there you can have an idea what kind of pricing we're talking about. Okay, so we have heard very crazy prices like what Andrew mentioned just now, pretty crazy price. And like for example, our 500 carat opal, right, the big one of the tourists, they came and then he's a collector and he said, wow, this is worth like, I don't know, what was it, 300,000 per
600,000
carat?
or something.
No,
300
30,000 per carat or 3,000 per carat or something like this. That makes it like maybe half a
one-
million
one and a
dollars,
half
you know?
million.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, I struck rich,
But
you
you
know?
know, this opals are really one of a kind.
Yeah.
So it's at the end of the day, it's a willing buyer, willing seller kind of market. So
Does transparency add to value?
most likely is the color.
Yeah.
And you have to
the play
balance
of
it out,
color,
the play
yeah.
of color.
Yeah. Of course, if it is transparency, I don't think transparency is the most important factor. The color, the background color, and the play of color is most important. Of course, if it is a bolder, of course the price goes down, right? It's not so highly valued. But if it's a large piece like the Mexican opal we showed just now, the big large piece, I can't remember what is the price. Do you remember what price it is? The one that we just showed on the video.
He said $100,000.
Whole piece or
The whole piece.
yeah, it's asking for 100,000
He
US.
said if in good times it's 200,000.
Yeah, so we are kind of like talking about that kind of pricing, and it's really quite not easy to give a price. Yeah, but it's under 1 carat, so it's not so big, you know.
Under 1 carat,
1 carat is
yeah.
not so heavy. Yeah. So anyway, we want to show you this fire opal, and then one more and then finish. Okay. So these are Mexican fire opals. Can show them. It's very nice.
Oh yeah,
It's very unique, very nice. And I have this one here too.
it's one of them. It looks like a
This is
scene.
orange with the
Oh, okay. This
yolk.
is one with orange. Nice color. Beautiful color. Alright, I like the... Recently, orange comes to be very... It goes very well with green. So, if you are making some piece of jewelry, you would like to... You can find Mexican opal is a good choice because it looks big. It weighs less. You see, this one's only 1.67 carat, but it looks like a 3 carat, 4 carat stone.
Yeah.
Sapphire.
But this is not so good, to answer Kristen's question just now, right? If you take this for example, it's obviously it doesn't have play of color, and it's a Mexican opal, right? So we do not want it to have anything inside there. Unfortunately, this piece has this like a egg white kind of a inclusion in there.
See?
You can see that, yeah, and it's not so
But
desirable.
Some people like it lah. I mean, if you
It's
are
unique,
going
lor.
from a collector's point of view,
Yeah,
if you're going on an appraiser's point of view, it's a very different story.
yeah.
It depends on your client, because if your client is a collector, to him it will be very valuable. But if let's say you're talking about fine jewelry, then you have to take in aspects like the workmanship and all sorts of things.
Yeah, of course, something like this, if there is no, we call it like it is actually white solidified silica gel, okay, and if there is no such inclusion in this particular piece, of course the value will go up, okay, because naturally there will be this kind of silica gel. There's one more piece that shows this kind of a white silica gel, not this one, the other one. Yeah, that's right. This is the one.
Oh, this is a giant one.
Yeah, is it giant?
Yeah, the giant white sacre.
This is from Querétaro, Mexico.
See?
Yeah,
It's like something is within something.
yeah. It's quite interesting. So you see, this particular piece compared to the other one, right? To me, this is a bit more appealing because it's more balanced. It's not like that white patch is slanted on one side or skewed to one corner. Whereas this one is pretty evenly placed. like it's centralized. Okay, I need things to be centralized. So to me, this is more appealing. The other one, on the other hand, the
Off center.
yeah, it's off center. The inclusion is off center.
See?
Yeah, this is like off center. So to me, if this one without that white silica gel inclusion, it will be much better. And between these two, right, I would say that the orange one, of course, is higher value lah.
It's more attractive.
Yeah, because of the orange, even though there is an inclusion there. It's just, again, there is a thing about personal preference as well. Okay.
What else you want to show?
Yeah, this one, the one with the like a scenery in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scenery opal.
Yeah, these are also from Querétaro, Mexico. Mexican opal.
We don't have Brazilian. We didn't show any Brazilian.
Gudetama. No, not Gudetama. Alithia say Gudetama. Yeah, maybe because egg also. Querétaro, Mexico. Let me just type it in for everyone to see, okay? Querétaro, Gudetama. Right. So this is like a scenery.
At the back, it looks like a wave. Like
Yeah,
clouds.
yeah.
Like clouds.
It looks like to me it looks like snow, you know, like snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other way. Yeah, Japanese wave. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Japanese. So you're very figurative.
Yeah. Yeah. So you see again this kind of thing, how to value? It's actually not expensive. I don't think this kind of material is expensive, honestly, but it's just one of a kind. Yeah, it's just one of a kind. And then we have the other one which is flat. This one.
It's not here.
It's not there.
Hang on.
I tell you, actually we have like a lot of samples. We have it like on our table now, full of them. So thank you for staying with us.
Hope you all enjoy yourself so
past
far.
1 hour.
We just show one last. Hey, wait.
This one.
Already show it.
No. I got one more piece.
No. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I missed out this one. Sorry.
That one is
this
very
the last
nice.
piece.
Yes. No, not last piece. This last piece for the Mexican. Then we will show you the last piece. The very last piece.
Oh, look at that. This is like a mountain range.
Yeah, it's very nice.
See?
It's very unique because of the...
And then if you turn off the light,
Huh?
and then you put in the
It's totally dark.
play of color,
Yeah, that's right.
you can see the greens and the blues coming out.
Yeah. It kind of shines out, you know, and then there's the purple also. The green, the
Like that.
reds, the purple. It's just beautiful.
Now it's having fun in the disco.
Yeah, it's the interference of the, the surrounding lights.
Huh.
Yeah, but it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
I think this one also I buy one. I think.
Since we turn it off, I show you one
Yeah,
stone.
now we're going to show you the beautiful one.
Yeah.
Okay, just now Andrew talked about crystal opal and water opal. All right, we're going to
So,
show you the
I show you
nice
this
crystal opal.
Crystal opal.
Yeah.
Okay, you can see it's like, oh, it's just like a normal cabochon. Wait till you turn off the lights, you turn into a different animal. Okay,
This
it's
is the-
black. See? Okay, now I have to show
You
you.
have to make it smaller a bit, right?
Yeah, sorry.
All right,
See?
there. Okay, push it up a bit.
You can go up a bit.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's like a hidden secret.
Can you zoom in?
Hang on.
You know what you can do? You turn your plate the other way around, so the black
yeah.
strip is on top. Yeah. Yes.
See that?
Yes.
Let's
Zoom in.
in.
Focus.
Oh, look at that.
You can see the play of
The
color.
play of colour. Oh,
Okay, too bright.
Oh,
Too bright. Yes. Okay, good. Lock it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See that? Wow, look at that.
Yeah. It's a crystal opal. It looks like there is no play of color, but when the light comes,
Wow.
the play of color just
Look at
shines out, you know?
So fun.
It jumps out like this. It's beautiful.
I see.
Wow.
See the play of color? Look.
Yeah.
At that.
Yeah. Nice. Stop it. It's called play of color. We're playing with the color.
Yeah, playing of the color.
Yeah.
So okay, thank you very much, everybody. Hope you all enjoy yourself.
Yes, yes. Thank you for staying with us. Past 1 hour, our webinar getting longer. We are showing you all these samples, but they're really interesting. I like it.
See now the opal returned back to his normal state.
It's it's like
I shall leave it. And
you know when the night comes.
yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Andrew
you,
will be
Sharon.
sending you all a feedback form. Can
Yeah.
you all let us know, your feedback, and also because now we are slowly getting back to work. We also want to find out which timing is the best for the webinar. So far, we have been using this time 8 o'clock
Yes.
on Saturdays.
Yeah.
But do feedback to us, and let's try to work out a great schedule.
Yeah. So we will be taking a break soon. We'll let you know when it is. There will be a short break in August and then in September. Yeah. So meanwhile, do feel free to interact with us either on Facebook, on Instagram, and let us know more, like what do you want to see, and we see whether we are able to show more. Okay, actually we have a lot of topic. We can show pyrite, we can show many things. Spinel, rubies, we haven't touched on rubies also.
Like actually, I was thinking of doing one on star stones.
Star stones, yeah, we
Yeah.
had one on cat's eye, and we can do on stars.
We call it
beautiful.
spaceman gems.
Oh, I tell you, so exciting. I just bought a sapphire, which, he thought it was a 6 ray, and then I noticed it's not.
It's a 12 ray,
It's a 12 ray star, and
and
it's
it's
so
a
amazing.
unusual green star sapphire. It's like 12
It's a
ray.
green 12 ray
green
star,
star
yeah,
sapphire.
And we have couple of 12 star. We saw one the other day, right?
Yeah.
Did you show the 12? No,
No,
you didn't. Yeah.
didn't show.
Good. Keep the best for the last. Okay, so thank you very much for this evening. Thank you for joining us. And Andrew will be sending you the feedback, right? So if you can, please help us to fill in. It's not like a feedback form, I think. It's just like a sort of a review on Google or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so please help us
Do help us like and share,
Yeah,
like
like
our
and
Facebook,
share.
and give us some good reviews.
Yeah, and we'll be
Yeah.
putting up the previous month's webinar
Yeah,
videos
on
our
our YouTube
soon.
channel,
Yeah.
the Gem Museum. So
Yes.
please subscribe and click on the notification button so that you know that the webinars are up there.
Yes. Thank you very much once again. Andrew, you have anything else you want to add on?
Thank you for listening.
Yeah,
I enjoyed presenting to you all as well.
Yeah, we enjoyed listening to you too.
Yeah.
Okay, have a good evening, everyone. Thank you
you.
once again.
Bye.
See you all next week on Peridot. Okay, bye-bye.
Peridot.